Hanover Square Press and HarlequinAudio present The Daughter of Auschwitz, my story of resilience, survival, and hope. By Tova Friedman and Malcolm Brabant. Read by Saskia Maarleveld. With a foreword by Ben Kingsley. Read by John Lee. To my amazing parents, Razel and Machel, who saved us all. And to my children and grandchildren, who will always remember.
Foreword. On driving away from my morning with Tova, the closing lines of Shakespeare's King Lear came to mind. The oldest hath borne most. We that are young shall never see so much nor live so long. Elie Wiesel would, I'm sure, allow us to use his phrase when we cite Tova Friedman as a heroine of truth and memory. Sir Ben Kingsley, February 2022.
Prologue. My name is Tova Friedman. I'm one of the youngest survivors of the Nazi extermination camp, known as Auschwitz-Birkenau. For much of my adult life, I've been speaking about the Holocaust to ensure people never forget. I was born Tola Grossman in Gdynia, Poland, in 1938, a year before the Second World War began. After living through every stage of the Nazis' attempt to wipe out the Jewish people, I eventually moved to America, married Maya Friedman, and later began calling myself Tova. No matter how much the last few remaining survivors and I share our stories, it seems that people are forgetting. Personally, I was horrified to learn about the levels of ignorance revealed in a survey of young Americans that was commissioned by the Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany and published in September 2020. 2/3 of the people who were interviewed had no idea how many Jews died in the Holocaust. Almost half couldn't name a single concentration camp or ghetto. 23% believed the Holocaust was a myth or had been exaggerated. 17% said it was acceptable to hold neo-Nazi views. A similar survey in Europe in 2018 showed that 1/3 of all Europeans knew just as little or hadn't even heard of the Holocaust. It also showed that 20% thought that Jewish people had too much influence in the worlds of business and finance. Those astonishing, alarming numbers point to just one thing. Anti-Semitism, or hatred of the Jews, is on the rise again in the United States and across Europe. I find it very hard to believe, after everything we endured in the ghettos and the extermination camps during the Second World War, that the insidious attitudes of the 1920s and 1930s are resurfacing. The Holocaust, the worst crime in the history of mankind, happened less than 80 years ago, and it's fading from memory already. That, quite frankly, is appalling. I'm now 83 years old, and with this book, I am trying to immortalize what happened, to ensure that those who died are not forgotten, nor the methods that were used to exterminate them. Many people wonder whether the world we inhabit now is similar to Europe of the 1930s, when Nazism and fascism were on the rise in the run-up to the Second World War. Back then, anti-Semitism was the official state policy of Adolf Hitler's Germany. It's true that no government in the world today has such a doctrine enshrined in law and supported by the population at large. Nevertheless, we all know countries where discrimination is prevalent and perhaps even tolerated. Hatred is one of the fastest growing phenomena today. Hate of every kind, especially toward minorities. Wherever you are in the world, I implore you, do not repeat the history to which I was subjected. Remember, the Holocaust began less than 20 years after Adolf Hitler wrote Mein Kampf, his master plan for eradicating the Jews. In the age of warp-speed internet, change can happen much faster than it did 80 years ago. We need to be constantly vigilant and brave enough to speak out. On that note, just as we were putting the finishing touches...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?